Okay, I'm starting this video a lot later than usual. I've been on the phone with our service provider because we, cheapskates that we are, we have been on a copper line with DSL internet, and copper apparently is being completely abandoned throughout the country, so we are going to be upgraded to fiber. So I had to have fun phone calls about that. It'll be nice being on fiber, especially they said that our price is going to stay the same, but dealing with this grown-up stuff has taken away from my doll time. So, here we are. Okay, so, since last week, a lot of what I have done is work on trade sewing. Now, this is someone I have known online for years, and this is a trade we started last year, before I got even weirder about working on trades than I am now. So, I am happy to work on this trade. And this person likes birds, so we have a bird theme, and I really hope she puts these together because I like chicken. Anyway, so not all of these were sewn since last week. A few had been worked on before, but most of them were. So I still have this stack of stuff to sew for this person, and hopefully I will get that out of the way. And one of the things I was sewing, like this shirt, actually used the dolman sleeve sweatshirt pattern that I shared. I just cut it shorter and didn't do the ribbing on the neckline or the bottom. And these are intended for larger than 6 scale dolls, and I was liking the way this turned out. So I thought I would take my pattern and edit it so that I could share this for 6 scale doll size. And I got the first trial done, and that's this, and I do not like the length and diameter of the sleeves. So I made the alterations to the pattern and printed it out, but I have not sewn it yet because most of what I've been doing since last week, and this is what the video is named after. Most of the time when I make my videos, I don't know what I'm going to call it. This time I absolutely know. This is the quick and easy doll that wasn't. So, Saturday, I had this idea for a quick and easy doll custom. It would involve spray painting a body black. I don't know if you just heard that. My painting bowl is still on the table. So anyway, it would involve spray painting the doll black, dyeing the head black, and then going over it with this paint. This is Plaid brand, Folk Art brand, Glitterific acrylic paint in black opal. Don't know if the camera's going to pick up. Oh, I see it's in sunshine. How sparkly this is. Now, I had the idea if I had the doll that was all black with this on it. My original idea was to have it like dripping and glopping down from the top. I thought that would be a fun, fast, easy custom. And so I grabbed a body. One of my favorite bodies, Barbie bodies, to paint when I'm painting the whole body. That's why I like the gymnast Barbie bodies, because they don't have wrists and ankles and a lot of finicky joints to deal with chipping and stuff on, and because they're all hard plastic, so it doesn't matter if I need to use a spray paint that reacts badly to soft plastics. So I grabbed the body and I pulled a head out of my stock of doll heads, and so I took the body. Well, this body also is one of those gymnast Barbie bodies that I strung the legs on from those dolls that I thrifted. So the legs don't fit really well into the hip sockets, but that's fine. What matters is that she has shoe options instead of the big flat feet. She has regular Barbie size feet, high heel feet. So I took that body downstairs to spray paint black, and we have so much primer spray paint and a couple different kinds of clear sealant, and there are even different shades of yellow because, well, like yellow and sand and gray, primer gray, are things that husband uses when he creates his terrain for his miniature games. But there was only one can of black, and it was almost empty. So I really shook it until the rattle inside was until everything was good, and I started to spray on the doll, and it like dripped out onto my hands, and it was a mess, and I sprayed it on the doll, and if you do much spray painting, you know, the way to do it is you spray on a light coat, you just, you know, it mists. It takes a lot of concentrated effort to get it a big wet puddle. You just, you know, spray it and it mists, and then you go over the whole thing and then you go back up in another layer. This was not misting. It was just coming out way too aggressively, and it was like pooling up on the big flat area of the doll's chest. And it's like, wow, this is terrible. Is it because the paint is old? Or because it's a little cold in here? I don't know, but I grabbed a rag and I wiped it off the doll, and I came back upstairs to think. And after a few minutes I thought, you know, it's probably fine. It's probably just because I had to do a lot to get the can of spray paint to work, and it's really slow. So I will go back down to the garage. I don't know if I've explained, our house is weird. Our main living level is up at ground level, but then we have a finished basement and our garage downstairs. So I know sometimes I'll casually talk about stuff downstairs, but also talk about it being, you know, we have, like when I was talking to the telco guy, he asked about, you know, how many streaming devices do we have? We have 3 computers upstairs plus a streaming device on the TV. And then downstairs we have another computer, another streaming device. It's like, in most households, the upstairs is just like bedrooms, and downstairs is where the living happens, but we live in this weird flipped over house. Anyway, so I go back downstairs to the garage and I pick up the spray paint again, and I'm determined to try to spray it, just lightly mist it on the doll. And again, it comes out and it blobs on and it's pooling, and like I didn't want to risk the puddled up paint to either start dripping or to orange peel, which orange peels when you put paint on too heavily. It doesn't run off, but it dries, but because it's so thick, it dries and it's like lumpy, like the peel of an orange. I didn't want to risk that, so I wiped it off again. And I actually looked at the paint can, and now I know the reason that we had this paint, that husband got this paint, is because it's the special kind of paint that does not damage styrofoam. Most spray paint, if you spray it on styrofoam, the styrofoam just goes and disappears. It melts. Chemicals, bad. This is styrofoam safe paint. So I look at the back of the can, and it's like for use on wood, ceramic, plaster, stone, masonry, paper, paper mache, cardboard, glass, no plastic. It's like, alright, so this is not a plastic spray paint. I cannot use it on this doll. So I go off to think again. Do I want to spray primer on the doll and then airbrush it and have the finish risk being, you know, I airbrush dolls all the time, so I know the finish is not always that durable, even when you seal it. So I thought, do I want to do this, or do I want to wait until I go out and run my errands on Wednesday and buy a proper can of spray paint then? And I was leaning toward buying, you know, having patience and buying a can of spray paint, but then I also got hung up on the buying part. It's like, spending money, meh. Using what I have. So I decided to use what I have. So I went down and I got a coat of sealer, the basic coat of sealer on the doll, and it was late at night, so I put it aside till the next morning. And the next morning I went down, bent the arms and elbows and, you know, the knees and the shoulders, and moved everything out of the way and got all the places that hadn't been gotten by the sealer, the primer before. And I go upstairs and do stuff for a few hours and go back down ready to take the doll to airbrush. And when I walked past the window with the sunlight streaming in, it's like, oh, there's a whole section of this doll that doesn't have a good coverage of primer. So I put more primer on, went away for a few hours, went back, got the black airbrush paint on the body. And also, that first night after I'd had the spray paint, I won't say disaster, but the spray paint disappointment, I said, and I primed the doll and I said, alright, I'm going to just go ahead and dye the doll's head. And I got out my ancient bottle of black dye, and it was dried out. It's like, okay, well, since I'm going to airbrush the doll anyway, I'll just airbrush the face. Which meant that I did have to mask off the hair, but okay, not a problem. So I get the body airbrushed black, and I get the head airbrushed black. And then that's all I could do that day. And then 2 days ago, Monday, I was dealing with eBay stuff, so all I was able to get done on this project then was getting a layer of sealant on everything. And we use the sealant I have, it's Citadel Purity Seal. Husband doesn't like it, so I get to use it. And it's non-reactive with the soft plastics. Like, if you don't know, if you just take any regular spray paint and spray it on soft vinyl, it will interact with the stuff that makes it soft, and it will never dry. So you got to be careful with spray paint on dolls. So I like this sealer because you can spray it, and the layer of paint is not enough to protect it. I had, years ago, I painted a doll with, I airbrushed a doll with clicky rubbery legs, and then I sealed her with just regular sealer, and her legs still got tacky. So chemicals, our hobby is chemicals, whether we want to think about it or not. So yesterday, after getting the sealer on it Monday, yesterday I started going at it with the glitter. And the original idea of just glopping it like it was dripping down the shoulders, that wasn't working well. And so I just stayed away from the joints, but just covered the whole body with the glitter. And I covered the head with the glitter. And I let those sit for a few hours, and then I went down and I hit them with another layer of sealer. Because one thing about this is the base that this is in is it's clear but super shiny. And if you know anything about working with shiny stuff, you know that because the whole thing is glossy, every lump and irregularity reflects back at you from its own unique angle. So if you can make it duller, like hit it with I think Citadel Purity Seal is a satin coat. I don't think it's a full-on dull coat, but it's satin. So if you can make it less shiny, and I apologize if I'm talking really fast and hard to understand because I'm trying to get this in before I have to start getting ready for the kiddo to get home from school. Anyway, so if you make it less shiny, then the irregularities and lumps don't stand out as much. So I hit the body and the head with the Purity Seal some more. And then I walked away. And then after a few hours, it's like, all right, I just have to put the head on the body. Hadn't figured out at that point how I wanted to paint the face yet. But just put the head on the body, and we're so close to being done. This was supposed to be a quick and easy project, and already at that point it was like Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It was on my 4th day of working on it. So I go to put the head on the body. It doesn't want to go on. It's like, all right, I just need to warm it up. I can't dunk it in boiled water like I usually do with neck openings that need to be softened up to go on a head, because you never know with paint, that might loosen the paint and make it all float off. So I made this really fast rice bag to heat, like if you've ever known rice bags, people usually make them really big and you heat them in the microwave and put them on your neck or in your bed to warm up in the winter, whatever. They hold the heat. So I made this to use as like an improvised hot pad, and I made it with the angle so I could shove it into the neck hole to open it up. So I do this and I get the neck hole warmed up, and it's still not going on the body, and it's like it's so close to being done. I am so frustrated. So I just keep shoving and shoving and shoving. It's not going on, and I look down and I realize I have started wearing the paint off the sides of the face, and the original skin tone is visible underneath. So I stop and I really, really look at things. And the body I'm using is the gymnast body. Gymnast bodies have slightly larger necks sometimes than other dolls, and they have the flanges on top of the neck knob to hold the neck on. Especially when compared with a modern doll. This head I'd chosen to use was only a year or so old. So it had a much smaller inner neck opening. So no amount of heating, I realized, is going to get this to go onto that neck. But the Dremel. So I went down to the basement, the other part of the basement, the inside part of the basement, the room that has the airbrush in it. So I've been going up and downstairs a lot more than usual for this project. So I go downstairs to the basement where the Dremel is, and I open up the neck, and a nice side effect of using the Dremel is that it also heats the plastic up. So with the larger inner neck opening and warm, it went right onto the body. That's fine. So I bring it back upstairs to turn on my light here to evaluate how much damage is done to the paint, and I figure I should be able to just touch it up with a black paint on a paintbrush and then put glitter back over it, and it won't stand out. But when I get it up under the light, I can see that there are cracks all over the face. A big crack across the bridge of the nose and the eyes, and cracks around. So I don't want to use acetone, because if I get any bit of acetone for stripping the face, I don't want to take the head off. Again, I don't want to take the head off. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I did the thing John does, where you coat the top of the neck with super glue, because if you put a vinyl head straight on a painted body and don't move it for a while, the paint will stick to the head more than the hard plastic neck. So when you move the head, suddenly there's this big chunk of missing paint. So when you put super glue on, it's a fairly clear protective layer. Unfortunately, my super glue was ancient. It was not anywhere near liquid or even a gel anymore. It was more of a, I don't know what you would call it, just really slime. So I used a nail because it was nearby. I dipped this nail into, I opened up the super glue bottle, dipped a nail in, like pulled out this strand of it and wrapped it around the top of the neck. And when it dried, it like turned opaque and white. But when I got the head on it, it covered up most of it pretty well. So it was in the right place. It's a little bit of the white was showing the bottom, but that's good. That meant that it wouldn't make contact with the regular paint and get stuck up. So I picked all that. So I didn't want to risk slipping with acetone, wiping it off the face onto the body and have to redo everything, but I didn't want to take the head off. So I just squeezed the head and made as many cracks as I could and picked them all off. And then I went downstairs and airbrushed the head black again. And I cleaned the airbrush up and put everything away, and I went in the garage and I sealed the head with Purity Seal again. And after that was done, I noticed that I missed a big triangle of, there's this triangle of skin tone still showing on the bottom, but at this point, I don't care. I figure I can just, you know, either touch it up with some black paint or put extra glitter on it. I don't care. I just want this thing over with. So I left it last night for the sealant to completely dry and everything. This morning when the kiddo was getting ready for school, I brought it upstairs, globbed the glitter all over it, and then got him bundled off to school. And like an hour later, I grabbed it again and sealed it. And then I just left it alone while I went out and did my errands today. So it was alone, it was untouched for a few hours. I know how I want to paint the face. I just did not want to rush it before this video so I could show you what I have done. So I'm thinking I'm going to put a lot of glitter in her hair too, and there's still stuff falling off of her from when I used the Dremel, and I think there's still flesh tone bits of plastic in her hair. And you can see I didn't bend her and move her a lot and I didn't glitter this area because the way I am, my dolls are always going to have this covered up. So anyway, here she is, and she is sparkly, and she is going to get more face paint. Even though the eyes are probably going to end up being lumpy and the lips are going to end up being lumpy, I think she's not quite finished looking yet. But if this project had been as fast and easy as I expected it to be, you know what? If you want to spray paint a hard plastic body black and dye the head black and then put some of this on top of it, I'd love to see you do it, and you could probably do it in less than 5 days. I did want to show, I'm dropping glitter from when I picked it off of her face, because one thing about using glitter in a paint medium like this is it does not drop everywhere. The glitter stays where you put it and it doesn't make a huge mess. And I will say that when I got this glitter, I actually misunderstood what I was looking at. I thought it was a black base of paint with glitter in it, but this is what that paint looks like on white. I don't know if this is picking up the iridescent. I'm not sure if they're iridescent or interference flakes of glitter. You really can't see them unless they're at certain angles when they're on the white background, but when they're like this, yeah, you can get maximum sparkles. So actually at one point I had an idea to make this even more complicated, but when I found out that the glitter looked like this, I changed my mind about it. But I'm going to use that idea on another doll someday, because right now I'm in a sewing mood and I want to get this sewing for actually 2 trades with people I've known forever that I worked out a long time ago. I need to finally get that done. But All I can say is by next week, I hope this doll has a face, and I hope she has some clothes, and I hope I'm not, I hope everything goes easier. So, thanks as always for watching and for putting up with my rambles and my weird doll stuff. And if I ever make anything that you want to copy, I would love to see it. So whether it's a sparkle doll or what, just have fun painting your dolls. Bye.